Hello, everyone. It's Mary Hanks again, the Mahogany Poet. Today is Sunday, May the 12th, 2024. It is an especially special day for many of us who have children, and for many of us who don't have children, but we have our hands in the lives of children. We help to raise children. We help to raise those who are infants, those who are tweens, teens, and those who are grown, those who are adults, who still lean and depend on the wisdom, the knowledge, the love, the joy, the grace, whatever it is, from those women who are in their lives that they need to just lean on sometimes, that they need to just feel the embrace from sometimes. It is Mother's Day. So I want to begin this segment here by wishing everyone a happy, 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 happy Mother's Day. For me, though, it is also May 12th represents the birth of my father. So it is also my father's birthday. And for me, it is a bittersweet day for both my dad and my mom because neither of them are roaming the earth anymore in their physical bodies. My father left us in March of 2009 and my mother in March of 2017. So they have both been gone for a while, but I still miss them both dearly. As time has passed, it has gotten easier for me because there was a time when I could not talk about either of them without just bursting into tears because I missed their presence so much, because they meant so much to me. Now, I will pause here just for a second to say I'm sorry that I am dealing with seasonal allergies. So I apologize if I sound a little nasal. But there is a lot on my spirit that I want to share with you. And I felt the need to get up off the couch because I got something that I need to just get off of my spirit and get out there. And I feel like there are others who may need to hear this as well. So it's important to me that I am obedient. I'm going to start today by reading. And I'm going to let the poems do most of the talking. And then I am going to just piggyback off of the readings. As always, I am coming from my first published book of poems, God Lifted Me. And the first poem I want to read to you is a poem that I wrote in honor of my mother, because I wanted the world to know and I wanted to express to the world how much she meant to me and how it is that I navigate my life in honor of her, because of the things that she taught me, the lessons as I watched her as a young mother and grow into the mother that she became. Excuse me. So the first poem is Walking in Her Glow. 5 long years have passed, still learning to live without your laugh. I'm trying to get past. Most days, I just wear the mask. But I wish that you were here. For you never got to see the fullness of your legacy, what in time came to be, my plans for you and me. But fate made it perfectly clear. I had to learn to carry on, though everything felt so wrong. my biggest fan, long gone. Your voice alive inside a phone. The memory of our bond cannot be broken. The sacred love of a mother and child, all the hurt you made seem mild, reminding me that my life's worthwhile, replacing my tears with your love and smile. In your presence, words didn't need to be spoken. This tribute bears no regret, for I do not wish to fret about the mother that I get to remember and to set within the indelible portrait of adoration in my spirit. I was blessed beyond the earth since the day of my birth. You taught your penny all my worth, to believe that I deserve to be first. Thank you for making me be still and know it and hear it. I do not want these words to end. It feels like departing from you again. And though my heart is on the mend, tears still come, sorrow still descends. I know that you needed your rest. I simply want the world to know what it looks like to walk in a mother's glow, to love your children and allow them to grow, because it was your playbook's rules that I did follow. Mama, I miss you so. I'm still walking though. I'm doing my best. I love you, Mary Catherine. So, it's walking in her glow. My mother had me at a young age. She was a teen mom. Both she and my dad were both teenagers when I was around. And I mention that because parenting is such a serious job. It is such an important role that we play in the lives of our children. It is sometimes overwhelming. For me, I know as a parent, to step into my parenting role for a minute, because I was in my 30s when I had my children, when they were babies. And I remember getting the word that I was pregnant with my first, with my son. And just it was overwhelming for me just to hear the news, to get confirmation, because of course I had taken a home pregnancy test. And when I took the home pregnancy test, I was like, the feeling was one of shock because I wasn't expecting it. And then when it was confirmed by the doctor, of course, I was like, I wanted my own mama. And I was 30 years old. You know, I was a working woman. I mean, I could afford being a mom financially. I didn't know if I could afford being a mother mentally, emotionally. I didn't know if I had mothering chops. I didn't know if I had what it took to raise a human being the right way, whatever that means. I didn't know if I had what it would take to shape and form the mind, the body, the spirit of a little person into an adult person. Because that's a role that I take so, that's the most important job that I have ever had. And I had watched my parents do it as teenagers. But here's the thing. They were never alone in doing it. They always had the support of a community of family around them. I remember my grandmother, my mom's mom, had died when she was 13. So she had some hard knocks coming up, not having her mom there. and the glow of a mother's love, the protection of a mother's love, that is the bond that is between a mother and her children. And, just even being watching even animals, and the protection of a mother, that lioness and her cub, or whatever they call them, bears in there, the protection of what's mine, as opposed to having someone else to look out for. Not to say that someone else won't look out for, but there's something about a mother who loves her children and what she will do, to the length she will go to protect what is hers and what she loves and what she adores. And as a teenager, my mom, it was rough beginning because she didn't really know, I don't think, how to maneuver being a mother, but she had my dad's mother, her mother-in-law. They became so close, and her mother-in-law, because she missed the mothering when her own mom died. So as a 17-year-old, having her mother-in-law there, and having her to nurture her and to watch her, to see her interact with her children, and to have her teach her what it was to be a mother, and to watch the interaction of all the aunts and all the people that were around in this community, in this village, helped her to know how to raise her first me daughter. And then it would be 8 years later before my first brother would show up on the scene. And then 10 years later, my baby brother would show up. And our parents, instilling some things in us, laying a foundation for us of what it meant to be a citizen of this world, a productive citizen of this world, a law-abiding citizen of this world, and doing the things that we needed to do. And and when I was a little girl, my mama teaching me, and this, I just think it just stands out for me now, especially just being a little girl. And the first book that I can recall learning to read from was the children's Bible that I had. And getting down on my knees as a little girl and making the praying hands and reciting the Lord's Prayer, and her teaching me that. I remember us being on our knees together and learning to pray. That memory is just burned into my brain, and it is didn't mean much back then, but now, as I sit where I sit, and as I am, learning my own walk with the Father, with the Son, and with the Holy Spirit, it is just, I just thank her so much for teaching me as a little girl a foundation, just a foundation. And she was a teenager. And I harp on the teenage part because I think sometimes we make excuses. We give these reasons, and we do it sometimes, I think, unknowingly, unwittingly. We try to give people cover for the reason that we don't meet the standard, we don't meet the expectation, and we start to throw off on, well, they're young, they don't know any better, or they need to learn. Well, whose responsibility is it to teach them? And age is just a number, people. Age is just a number. They need to start learning the minute they get here. My mama was teaching me when I was little, right? She was teaching me when I was 3-4 years old. We got to start the learning process sooner, so that if they're teenagers and something does happen that's out of the ordinary, that we weren't expecting, that we didn't teach, something slips up on them, at least they have some tools. And if we didn't teach them then, well, do they have a community around them? Do they have a village around them? So we can't just say, well, they're young and they're going to learn, they're going to figure it out on their own. No. Are we there to help them figure it out? Do they have someone that they can lean on and depend on to help them figure it out? And we don't just throw them out there to the wolves so they have to struggle more than they should. Because my children, even though they're 19 and they're 22, Brianna will be 20 next month. If they make mistakes, and of course it's always dependent on what the mistake is. Yes, they're going to learn from the mistake that they made. Yes, they're going to hear my mouth that they're not going to want to hear. Yes, we're going to go through the, is this how you are supposed to be living according to the word that you are supposed to be under? You are supposed to be learning, because now you got to have your own relationship. They're going to hear all of that. But they have my cover because they belong to me. Just like I expect to go to my Father if I mess up, if I step up. If I want him to have my back, then you best believe that I'm going to have my children's back. We are a village. We are a body. We are a community. But we will take our own and we will throw them out there. Am I saying that sometimes they don't have to learn? Yes, of course they do. But we have to be wise enough and we have to be in tune enough to know when to let them go far enough and when we need to rein them back in. But the main thing is, have you given them a foundation? Have you given them the tools that they need to know? Because if you train them up in the way in which they should go, the prodigal will always return home. The prodigal's gonna come back, right? I want to read a second poem because I don't want to get too far gone, because y'all know by now that I can run my mouth. I don't know if you know, each video gets longer and longer, and I don't want to do that tonight. And the second poem is Time to Take Time. And this one is for my father, and I'll tell you why. Even though it's not, I've written no poems specifically for me. Well, actually I have. It would be in the second book that comes out. But I write from the perspective of my spirit as a woman and the walk that I've walked as a woman. My experiences. So when I do write about males or men, it is typically just from where I sit as a female. And I have not written a poem about my dad. It just hasn't hit me yet, even though I love him so much. I just haven't, because the time isn't right yet. It's all in timing. Right now I'm focused on my Heavenly Father. But it's not because I did not adore my earthly father, because I did and I do. But time to take time. If we can't get time back, then why do we yield it so fast? Shouldn't we be more thoughtful with something so precious that doesn't last? Shouldn't we use time more wisely to ponder the consequences of our choices? To not nonchalantly respond to matters by way of manipulative voices? Wouldn't you value a day you had not seen if you knew you'd never see it again? Yet every day we blow away life in precious moments like time will never end. Couldn't time be used to consider our history, to create present peace and harmony? Or am I a fool to believe it true that we waste time and life needlessly? Without the benefit of our toys and gadgets, would we have more time to ponder and think? Could we hold uncomfortable, honest conversations that wouldn't have to happen in a blink? Would we understand that some things take time, They take patience to ensure they're done right. Not everything has a set timetable. Not everything must end in a fight. The world, always in a hurry. Exactly where are we trying to go? Still, we haven't got there running fast. Surely we can stop, at least move slow. If we take time to take time back, to enjoy things as we did once before, could we find time to love one another? Or do those times exist no more? So why do I say that I read that poem for my dad in honor of his birthday today? Look, with my father, I used to love to listen to he and his brother Hal, who's also no longer here with us. I used to love to sit down and listen to them just talk about when they were boys, when they were growing up, and all the mischief that they got into. And the stories were so funny. They could tell just the wildest, craziest stories. And as I got older, my dad, our relationship, it changed some, because I remember being a little girl, and it seems like when I was smaller, my relationship, I was closer with my dad, because I remember it's like I couldn't tell time, but I had this internal clock in my head. And I knew, and again, I couldn't have been more than 3, 4, or 5. I remember being at the window, and it would be dark outside. And I remember standing at the window, peeping out the window, because I knew that my dad should be home soon. And I remember seeing his car come into the yard, and him walking in the door, and him picking me up and just holding me, and I was just, oh my God, I was just so happy and thrilled because my dad was there, and it was daddy-daughter time, and it was just great. I don't know. But over time, the relationship shifted to where I became closer to my mother than I was to my father. And I think it was because Daddy wasn't home as much because he worked so much. My dad was a hard-working guy to take care of my family. Didn't want to be on government assistance kind of man. He ended up being a bilateral amputee. And he was a truck driver. He had his CDL, and truck driving was what he ended up doing. And I remember even when he lost his first leg, and they told him he wouldn't be able to drive trucks anymore, and he was like, oh, no, you just don't know who I am. And I won't tell that story, but he managed to continue to drive, because he was just stubborn, and you had to know him. My dad was a gentle giant. He was he's probably 6'2", probably. And he fluctuated probably between, I don't know, when he had both his legs, he probably fluctuated between 250, 260, maybe pounds. But then as he lost both his legs, he had diabetes, he had hypertension, he just had a lot of health problems because my dad was a smoker. And he was a hard-headed, I think I've already said that, gentleman. But going to see him, and as I got older and our conversations got, more mature, and he would tell me, he was like, you got book sense, but you ain't got no common sense. Which of course would just set me off, because I was like, I got all the sense. What are you talking about? And so our relationship got a little contentious, because there was no argument that my father was going to lose, because he knew everything. And so when I learned to drive, sometimes we would get into these arguments, not arguments, because I was very respectful of my father. So I never argued with him. We would get into these conversations, and when I felt the heat going up my neck and coming up my cheeks, and I knew that he was about to take me to a place where I could go with my friends or coworkers or people that was not my parents, I would get my keys and be like, okay, Mama, it's been it's been good, but I gotta get back up the road. You know, Dad, love you, because that was my way of being respectful, because there was something in me that just could not be disrespectful to my parents and be argumentative with my parents. And that's just me. We're all different, and I respect everyone's personal relationships with their parents. That was my relationship with my parents. And I take on some of my dad's, some of his traits are mine. Some of my mom's traits are mine. So I'm a mixture of both of them. Those things that are about me, that anyone, if they think that they're stubborn, if they think that they are just strong. Now, some people say that because I have an aunt on my mom's side, and all my aunts on my dad's side. I come from some women with very strong personalities, very, very strong personalities, and I have a strong personality. I do, but the thing is, my mom had a very meek and mild personality, and she was the buffer of both sides of the family. Because I come from a family where my mom's side of the family and my dad's side of the family, they meshed and they mended together and they loved each other. So family get-togethers were, a lot of times, it was both sides of the family. And for a minute, I thought that everybody was related. But you know, so it was great for me growing up that way in that type of a family. But I got to see all the dynamics of all the different personality types. And so for me, I got to pick and choose and see, ooh, I like that, I don't like that, and all the things. But what I really got to see was how they would all come to my mom for advice, to lean on her for different things. And so I saw the meekness and the mildness sometimes went out over all the other stuff. The level-headedness went out over all the bluster and all the, you know, I'm bad and all that stuff. And yeah, that stands out to me. And so it helps to shape and mold my personality. And the thing is about, for me, with the timing, because my parents' relationship and watching them and how they go, and even my dad, you know, with he and my mom's relationship and watching how it shifted over time, in his relationship with his children over time. Time is so precious. And my dad died in his 50s. My dad was a young man when he left here. And so just taking time, because we can't get it back with those people that we love and that we cherish. And sometimes we have these unnecessary frictions with these people, and we never know when they're not going to be here anymore. And so I question, I will have you to just take a moment to question, you know, these things that we have, these tense relationships that we may have with, especially our parents, you know, or our children. Are they worth it? Because if we don't have the time, is it worth an uncomfortable conversation just to clear the air? You know, is someone big enough to say, you know, I'm sorry, even if you don't think you did anything wrong, if you're not sorry for whatever is causing the friction, aren't you sorry that the relationship is broken? And don't we want to get the relationship back together? So, you know, and sometimes, my mama, you got to be the bigger person. You know, sometimes, mama, I don't want to be the big person. That was, oh my goodness, she would, in all the time, if I would go to my mama and tell her that I was having an issue with anybody at any time, somehow it was always my fault. And she wouldn't even say it was my fault. She would just, but you got to be the bigger person. But you got to be the bigger person. And I get now that it was about relationship. It's the relationship. Is it worth losing the relationship over whatever this thing is that's probably pretty mundane? It doesn't matter. It's just a trick of the enemy. Is it worth a conversation to clear the air? So when I think about my parents and their 38-year relationship, and I think about, and that's another thing, because my parents, they didn't, because now I think that we try to hide things from our kids, and we don't just let our relationships just play out in front of our children. And so sometimes kids go into relationships with unrealistic expectations. Excuse me. And I'm not saying that grown folks should have out their personal business in front of their children. I'm just saying that we shouldn't have them thinking that it's all honeymoon and roses and candy and dancing and kissing. But sometimes there is friction in relationships, and children need to understand. But when the friction is there, then we can work it out and get back to where it is that we need to get to. And just my parents and their relationship and the love that they have for each other, and the love that my mom had for my dad, and watching him go through what he went through, and the love that he had for her when it was his time to leave here. And he knew that it was his time to leave here, and how he spoke to the three of us, his kids, knowing that he was getting ready to leave this earth, and knowing that she was not accepting it, and asking us, telling us to, getting us ready. And his final request of all of us, take care of your mama. Take care of your mama. That was, his final thoughts was that his wife would be taken care of. So just taking time to make sure that we are taking care of the people that are important. We get so bogged down in the things and the day-to-day that sometimes when we still have breath in our bodies, when we still have life, and when we're still full of life, we don't take time to take care of the things that matter. We don't stop in every day and say, are the kids all right today? We don't take time to say, is my spouse all right today? Are my parents all right today? Because life gets so big and swallows us up. Are my siblings, are we okay today? Is our relationships okay today? Do I have a community? Do I have a village that if something were to go down, would my kids be okay today? So, in honor of my father's birthday, and in honor of Mother's Day for my mom and all moms, all surrogate moms, those aunts that are stepping in to be moms when asked, and for many of them when not. They are just there. Those grandmothers who've had to be mamas again. To all the women out there, whether you have born a child or not, happy Mother's Day to you, and just bless you for everything that you do to love on our children, tiny ones, and those who are my age, because I have been blessed to have many, many mothers. And I love each and every one. So until next time, This has been Mary Hanks, the Mahogany Poet. Have a great day.